So hello, this is Andrew Turner, host of the Praxi Pod. Given we're just about to finish 2024, and we're doing the Praxi gift series, we've been publishing some really interesting content and some ebooks for you to all read for your 2025 plans. We couldn't miss out on the opportunity to bring back some of our really important people in our world to share some gifts with you. So today we've got a number of sessions. And this week we've got a number of sessions, and one of the sessions we're doing is with Mr. Roberto Maranca. Well, welcome, Roberto. How are you?
Very well, Andrew. Thank you for having me on as part of your hamper.
Well, you're always delicious. That's because of the Italian heritage. You see, you're always delicious.
You want to have a bit of an Italian deli in the hamper anyway, so
sadly, that's the Italian. The Italian ingredients are always the ones that go first. So yeah, I suppose the first question I got for you today was really about 2024. Well, 2023 was quite a big year, and I know 2024 has been even more kind of interesting. I suppose what would be your biggest takeaway, your biggest insight around data and AI, Gen AI, and everything that we've been working on at Praxi, and the audience we're listening to. We're obviously talking to data leaders out there and across the world. What's your biggest insight from 2024? I suppose that's the first question.
My insight is kind of twofold, because on one side we are in the year in which the unprecedentedness is becoming even more unprecedented, right? So if you look at the speed at which something like generative AI has been growing is incredible. But in this, I think there is a common theme. The common theme is that when paradigm is changing, people are struggling to change with the paradigm. And I mean, you and me have seen it in the e-business. I mean, people were trying to do wonders and they just were producing brochureware on the web. It was a bit of a problem. And also more recently in digital transformation, we've seen that basically we're actually not digitally transforming. We're just reproducing something digitally, thinking was digital transformation. I think what generative AI is pushing us is really, okay, this is completely different now. But at the center of this difference is always us as human beings, right? So for me, that's a big insight. The big insight is this sounds incredible, sounds transformative, sounds incredibly fast. But at the same, we have a position which we need to retrench, which is looking at us as human beings as the actors of all this change, and it's going to be fine. That's my insight.
And don't lose the perspective on that. That's what you're saying.
No, because I know you're not a big fan of the digital neo-humanism, as I'm calling it, right? So we are really we're positioned more in the center and the forefront of the action because of all this thing that feels almighty. Because the only difference, the only ability for us to understand what's going on is to understand what is human and what is not, in a way.
Yes.
And you see that, and we can talk about deepfake, we can talk about, all the funny things are going around on the internet these days that they're really testing your ability to understand. Am I actually looking at something that is real and what is real? So I think you go back to my good old Greek philosophy. I'm not going to do anything today, but I'm just putting in there that it's important that for us understanding what is going to make us human to still have value add in all of these mega transformations, mega trends that are surrounding us. That's the insight for me.
Okay. No, that's very thoughtful, because I think you're right. You're spot on it. But you see more and more content where what is the true source? What is the truth?
Yeah.
And that's both exciting and scary as well at the same time.
Yeah, the loss of source of authority, which for us in data is one of the most important tenets of what we do. Not the loss, the identification of source of authority, of course. But when you lose the source of authority, then you don't have a benchmark. You don't have anything that says, okay, is this real? Is it good? Is it good for me? Is it bad? Or how bad it is? So
you don't have a grounding, do you? You don't have a grounding.
You don't have a grounding. And if you don't have a grounding, now going back to business, you're not resilient because you don't know where you are. You know where you stand. So you don't know what you see. And if you don't know what you see and where you stand, you don't have your posture is not defined. If your posture is defined, any shock, any minimum things can put you out of balance. So that's actually there's an incredible branch of mathematics studying resilience. And I think resilience is based on good data, good understanding of where is your source of truth. Yes. And that's where probably it's your important earth. For us.
It's a bit like in electronics, it's all electricals. It's a bit like your earth, isn't it? It's like...
Correct.
It's the brown cable.
Well, that's good, a very good one. And I'm close to electric stuff, as you know.
I know
Your
you.
Earth,
That's why I thought I'd mention it.
everything you measure is a differential. I mean, and actually, if you want to go wider, there is no transmission of a signal without a differential of something. So
Yes.
you don't know if you know your ground, you know how far, what's your voltage. If you understand what is your main signal, then your main base wave, when your wave is actually modulated, you understand
what your variation
correct.
is. Yeah, exactly.
Life is all a gradient.
We're not going to go down that kind of Six Sigma rabbit hole today.
No. I'm just saying life is a gradient.
I thought. Anyway, I'm going to say.
Definitely
I was going to say life is a minestrone, the 10cc record. But anyway, that's the complete distraction. Anyway, so
we go back to the hamper now. It's not a problem.
So the second question I got for you was then around. Thank you for that question, by the way. Very very good answer. The second question is about. Obviously, we're just right at the end of 2024. There's been a tremendous amount of progress. Tremendous amount of, obviously a growing confidence in people grabbing their arms around stuff, grabbing the nettle, as I would call it. What's your big action? What if people are, I'm not saying they're sitting on the fence, but they're not doing something, or what is the one big action that data leaders need to think about for 2025?
I think the big action
looking through your lens.
Through my lens is, you and me are having this conversation because you and me are big fans of metadata or data or the data around the data or whatever you want to discuss, but is the kind of the feeling that, or the certainty in a way, that there is more than just of your little dashboard over there, or the piece of PowerPoint you present to the board. The more thing is the power that I think we have unleashed. We just have to read properly the power of describing things around us in a very complex, because complexity is the norm in our world, right? But I think today we are having tools and methodologies and framework that are going to allow us to understand that, model that, and use it properly. Yeah. And my suggestion for everyone is start to think is, how can I build for my business a mirror on the wall that is the one that gives me all the answers? And of course, today people are starting to say, oh, maybe it's something that looks more like a chatbot. Yes, fine. But if the chatbot is a surface where the question, the answer appears, you need to understand what is behind the complexity of your business, the complexity of your ecosystem has to be properly represented. And that's going to be beyond what's generative AI today. I think it's getting steps forward, that ability to say, I'm not in an environment which I don't know what's going on. So the majority of my problems are basically literally visualized with questions. Where is my data? Who's got the data? How good is this? You need to move from that to statements. I know, I trust, I verify. I'm transparently demonstrating.
I can action.
And I have actions. So that for me is the 2025 goal, is to get one step forward, one step closer to that ability to provide my business with true decisioning.
Yes.
So it's the job of a manager, it's the job of a leader today. How do I take data and make a decision about that, and I measure the effect of my decision, and I bring it back into my learning, so my next decision is going to be a tiny bit better. But I need to do that at scale with tons of data and with tons of information flying around, not just in my company, because all around me. So that's one of my goals.
So what you're saying there is increase the clock speed of not just yourself as an executive, but also your whole organization, of how you can apply that at different levels of your organization as well.
It's a bit, I go back to the 3Ds of the CDO. You start with Chief Dashboard Officer, then you get to Data Officer, and this is more like towards the Chief Decision Officer, right? You want to be the person that is telling you, okay, to make the decision today, you have enough data available, the data is good enough. The last mile is down to you, because the last mile is your brain. And that's, again, part of my digital neo-humanism kind of belief, that last mile will always be there and will always be incredibly important. But we need to make it important. We just have to, because there's a feeling that today where everything is going to be decided by someone else. Everything, and the someone else will be something else, probably. But that's
I see. So you're also raising the issue about ownership of the decision as well. About is that a machine or is that a human? But what you're saying is, okay, I see what you're saying.
I don't think we are far from the moment in which there are going to be things going wrong, and people will say, "But the bot told me."
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It was that. It was them.
The bot told me. So the bot is like the mirror, but today the mirror is not very. It's not very. It's a bit shallow behind the glass. So the bot is saying, "I'm just summarizing what you should have known already. If you want to create something that absolutely, completely, and really true or new, it's up to you." That's that kind of kind of something, the factor, the X factor of the human being that adds as something that is not deterministic, hopefully, and that's important. We need to foster that. We need to foster our critical spirit, critical thinking, because we can't take everything at face value, and to model and help people to do better at the way we are representing our complexity and summarizing the complexity with the proper guidelines and proper understanding, so people can make better decisions.
Yeah. I don't know. When we originally spoke earlier this year, and we did the full episode of Praxi Pod, that there was some really good takeaways. And if anybody's not seen that episode, we'll be republishing it and re-promoting it in 2025.
So you can check if I'm coherent, basically. I'm saying more or less the same thing.
Well, no. But I think the thing is, it's also how you make it, accessible. So I think what you've done all consistently through 2024 is you make the way you articulate these challenges is in an accessible way. So it helps understanding. And the thing about the mirror, I think, is a great one, because it's like an analogous of a Snow White analogy of mirror on the wall, who's the most beautiful in the world. But it's like what's the state of my data? How do I deal with this situation? How do I deal with this risk, this opportunity? I think it's a fantastic way to. And I suppose the question for 2025 would be who's going to grab the nettle and actually get that done. And then
one smaller step, because people might be scared. Today, you might have your risk metrics you present to the board, for example, and then on the side, as if you are a good CDO, probably will have all the limitations, all the data quality dimension, all the things. So you are giving people something more to think about. Now, can we try to make those limitations, dimensionality of quality of data, more part of the message, not something that is people have
not
to
something
basically
like adjacent.
Yeah,
not adjacent. It's enabling.
They have to be embedded. So then that's more information quality management, right? So how do I really tell you, knowing who you are, knowing what you're trying to do, because I need to know, right? And that's where the introspection of the CDO has to be pretty often there. Know what you're trying to do, knowing who you are, know what's your goal. I can tell you that with the data you have in your hands today, you can make the decision with this level of confidence. Then the rest is up to you. I'm not going to ask you, I'm not going to give you a RAG, meaning not red, amber, and green here, not the other one. So I'm not giving you an app. I'm not going to tell you how many limitations, how many counts of records are defective. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to translate that for you into business, an additional element for your decision, which is sometimes not an easy exercise.
Like a risk value or a risk rating. So you convert it into business terms.
I think you have to take the data information about data and transform that into a business information. So that's because today we're not doing that all the time. Why? Because the model that is allowing to do that again is back to the mirror. The mirror is containing all these models that are transforming sensor data into more an information for the business. Today, sometimes we're just saying, I just extract stuff from my data quality portal, data quality application, and I'll slap it on a page and I give it to them to say, there you go, I've done my job. That's your board risk metric. That's your data quality view of the board risk metrics. But it doesn't help, does it? I'm not saying it happens all the time. I'm just saying that.
I mean, that's like being out for donkey's years, isn't it? That's not really progressive. What you're saying is take a progressive mindset on that and do the additional work on it to make it more valuable. Yeah. Okay.
And to me, it stems from the most critical question. So the most critical question I've always been asked, and probably we were referring to that during the Praxi pod, is so what? So you say I've done all this data quality work. I solved. I fixed 50,000 customer address. So what? So if you don't tell me, then
no,
from
but
now
quick question. Quick question though. Are you talking about materiality now? Then are you talking about materiality?
Yeah.
When you mentioned that,
observability, materiality, whatever. There are many things, many words you can use for that. But the reality is, how do I translate this into a business view, a business value, business information that people can actually can be compounded with the information I already got, and now I'm getting a better decision, really.
Yeah.
One can only try.
Well, I think that's a great conversation. I mean, I think it's a great looking through the rear view mirror, yeah, and also looking through the front windscreen, which you need to do when you're driving the car. So, or any additional other vehicle, speedboat or whatever,
Unless you have an
vehicle
autonomous
you're going to be in.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, all I can do is then wish Roberto and your family a very great Christmas, very Merry Christmas, and a very Happy New Year. And I'm sure we'll be inviting you back on for more snippets of value, more value bombs from Mr. Maranca in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah.
So
that's the other thing you find.
Thanks for the time.
It's a bath bomb, right? That's the other thing you find.
The Italian hamper bath bomb. Okay, right. Okay, interesting way to finish this little mini episode. Thanks for coming on the show today.
No, thank you, and the same to you and to your watchers. So thank you very much. Enjoy.
No problem. Thanks a lot.